Gustavo, come up front. You know, there's always one in the crowd. I tell you. Come on in. Sit right here with me because I'm going to use you in a minute. I need another volunteer.
Sadie.
You must think this is a democracy. Guys, why is it important to go to college? Okay, one at a time. Why are you getting an education for?
To get a job and to get a good job and support your family.
That's correct. To get a good job and be able to support your family. You want to say something? To enter into a career that you actually enjoy. That's very important. You don't want to go working for somebody who you might not be comfortable working with, right? Walmart is a decent job, is a job, right? What, you want to say something?
To get to your dreams.
To get to your dreams. Okay, I had a couple and I made them, right? So, the reason why I call these two lovely people here is because they're going to be part of an exercise that's going to give you a little bit more detailed understanding on the importance of going to college. Everything moves around in the world through economics, money, right? Everything evolves around ensuring that you have a good quality of life. That's very important. Just a little bit about me real quick. My name is Israel Vargas and I'm the Assistant Provost for College Access. And my job is to ensure that Roosevelt University is living up to its social justice mission by becoming involved in community activities and having a positive social impact. Combating those issues that we may be having out there, such as homelessness, violence, the right to get an education. Prior to this, I was an executive director to a nonprofit that housed homeless men, women, and children. I did that for about 6 years. Kids your age were at my agency with no homes. I provided them with 3 meals a day, case management, help them find jobs, and help them find an apartment. I did that for some time. Prior to that, I was in social services, and the majority of my time out here working has been in helping low-income to no-income families obtain the necessary resources. And I tell you that because 99% of the people that I have helped since 2002 in social services did not have an education. Never received the resources through education to be able to know how to navigate the system. That's why education is so important. That's why I'm here right now at Roosevelt. I thought that if I go run a shelter for men and women, I can end homelessness. Well, for those, some of them it's too late. They don't have computer skills. They're illiterate. Not their fault. It was a chance of life. Something that happened. But I figure if I come to Roosevelt, my alma mater, then I can start changing people's lives at an early age. Usually, a college or a university is only going to target juniors and seniors from high school. Well, not me. I'm going a little bit further back because I believe that we need to start in the middle ages, middle classes, where you can start understanding what are you faced with when you get out there in society. And you prepare yourself because you have that right. And you want to be a reinforcement to your parents to help you navigate the system and make sure you get an education. Oftentimes we don't talk to our parents. We make sure that we keep things to ourselves, and what happens is that we don't have that reinforcement. You want to make sure that you make your parents stand on you to continue your education to get good grades. Good grades is another topic that you need to think about. For example, if you come to Roosevelt University and you have an ACT of 18 and a GPA of 2.5, we're going to give you a merit scholarship, but it's only going to be $3,000. But if you come through with a GPA of 3.5, 4.0, and an ACT of 25, 28, you can get up to $16,000 from Roosevelt University. A lot of colleges have things like that. But that's why the grades are so important, and you need to pay attention from the time you go into high school. Because what you do at the beginning is going to reflect at the end of your high school career. And if you take it lightly at the beginning, at the end, your scores are not going to be what they need to be. You may be forced to go to a community college or to try to go into an apprenticeship program. Why would you give up the right to get the right education, to obtain a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and be a professional? Why would you give that up? Would you give that up, Gustavo? Right. For instance, if I can find a marker here, that's a chapstick. Here it is. You figure it like this. If you get high scores, we're talking about $16,000 from Roosevelt University. You have to get good grades, right? From the government, you're going to get about $9,000. That's $5,000 for federal and $4,000 for state. In order for you to do that, you have to apply in January for FAFSA to be able to qualify. That's $25,000. Our tuition is $26,900, which leaves you a balance of $1,000 and $900. That's all you have to come up with to come to Roosevelt University when it comes to tuition alone, right? That doesn't seem much, $1,900 for 1 year. I could split that up into 12 and make monthly payments to finish my tuition payment for the year. This is the type of information that you need to be aware of when you visit colleges. What resources they have available, how does that compare to the federal government aid that you can get, and what's going to be the balance, if any. Then you can start thinking about books, the bus pass, food, things like that. And as you're doing the tour of the university, you're going to see the dorms. To be in one of these dorms costs money, like in any other dorm for any other college. To be in it, you also got to have a meal plan that costs money as well, because we want to make sure that you don't starve to death, that you're eating every day, right? These are the information that you need to be aware of. We have some good, we got some good points out here as to why should anybody go to college. But I want to do a little exercise before I do this. So we know that going to college is going to, you're going to gain information that's going to be very useful for you in the future. That's reason enough to pursue. The information that you're going to get is going to open up your eyes to things that you were not open up to before. Not too long ago, I went to a school, and one of the kids was talking about how there's nothing but violence in his neighborhood, and how the government is doing nothing about it. That shows a level of ignorance as to what really is happening, because if you really pay attention and do your research, the government is trying to do something. Whether it's enough or not, we don't know. We're still trying to figure that out. But you have to be fully informed. Going to college gives you the ability to gain that information. I always tell my kids, we oftentimes make a decision based on the information we have available at that time. Something simple as this: candy bar, chocolate, candy bar, chocolate. I like chocolate. I'm going to eat the candy bar, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to eat the candy bar. But if you turn the candy bar around and you start looking at the ingredients, you start informing yourself. And then you start looking like, oh my God, look at all that sugar. Oh my God, look at all the chemicals they're putting in there. Now you get to make a good decision because you know all the information, and you're going to be able to say whether is this good enough for me or not, right? Something as simple as that. So, some of the benefits, when you come to college, there's a lot of extracurricular activities, and I urge you to start doing extracurricular activities at high school level, even now. The reason for that is because when you go to any college or university, and you tell them that you've been a volunteer at a community service program, or that you've done some work in the community, that makes you look good. The college wants you now, because you took it upon yourself to become involved in something that had to do with social justice and helping the communities. It's not that difficult. Google it. Where volunteer opportunities in your area. Involve your parents and go. You're going to have to do that when you go to college. I've talked to students who are about to graduate with a bachelor's degree, and they want me to help them find a job. And I'm like, well, let me see your resume. And there's nothing in the resume. And I'm like, what did you do these past 4 years? Just go to school? There's more to it in college. There's a greater involvement. See, colleges and universities mold you to be that social impact change out there. If you don't mold you, if they don't mold you, you're not going to be able to go out there as leaders and make these changes. That's another reason why it's important. You have more job opportunities. You know that the world is changing rapidly. College graduates have more jobs to choose from out there when it comes to looking for employment. Looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. And you need to be marketable. You need to be able to show that employer that you have not only the skills, the credential, the experience, and that employer is going to say, I want you to work for me. You got to build your rapport. You got to build your image. That's how you're going to get a good job. A person who goes to college usually earns more, of course, than anybody else, a GED, a high school diploma, and I got some information on that in the future, and this is the part that I like, because this is where we get really, can you guys see that, or is it too small? It's too small, isn't it? Well, let me give you. So what I did was I put together some information based on what I know dealing with homelessness, housing, apartments. I own an apartment. I used to own a condo. I know fair market values. I know the cost of living. I know all of that, right? So right now, if you rent one person, if you go get an apartment right now for you alone, you're going to pay an average of $717 a month. If you start putting in there renter's insurance, heating and cooking gas, electricity, vehicle, you want a car, gasoline, phone, food, and that's just the basics. I have not taken you out to dinner. I'm not talking about haircuts in there. I'm not talking about shoes. I'm not talking about emergencies, changing the oil. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm just talking about some basics alone. We're talking about for a single person, the overall cost is $1,644. That's in monthly expenditures. That means that you have to bring into your pocket on a monthly basis a minimum of $1,644 to live like he wants to live. But not necessarily, because that's when we're going to jump in, right? So when you get old, do you want to own or you want to rent? You want to own a home? 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? 2-bedroom? Where you want it at? Name it, you got it. Where you want it at? Anywhere.
LA. No.
Really, LA?
No.
On average, a 2-bedroom house is going to be about $250,000 to $300,000. You divide that by 30 years with the interest rate of 5.0, depending on your credit score, and to some of you, you're probably like, what the hell is he talking about? That's how it works. That's exactly how it works. So they're going to look at my credit, and then approve me, and then I go buy a house, and $250,000, $300,000. I'm going to be very conservative. I'm going to give you a monthly mortgage payment of $2,000, because I'm not good with math, and I like rounding it up and all that stuff, right? What about you? Yeah, you. What kind of car do you want when you get up? When you're out there, you know, doing your deal, what kind of car do you want? You want a Mustang. But how much is a Mustang? How much is a Mustang? Well, new, brand new, because we were talking about she wants brand new one. Maybe, huh?
No, more than that. Like 50.
A Mustang? You know what?
No.
It depends on features and stuff like that. Let's go half and do 40 for the sake of argument. So, on a car, you're gonna go finance a car, because you gotta finance a car right now. So we're talking about going to finance a car, and they're gonna give you a 0% financing. Your interest rate is gonna be about 7 to 9, depending on your credit score, the lower it is, the lower, you know, the more you're gonna be paying. And I'm gonna be conservative here, and I'm gonna say that your Mustang on a monthly payment is gonna be about $500. Now, with the house and with the car comes more responsibilities, right? Each one of them needs insurance, maintenance, right? With the house, you gotta have food to eat, utilities. What we're talking about, if we were to put all of that together, I'd say another 2,000. That's food, cell phone, you know, things like that. And I'm gonna leave it just like that, just for the sake of time and because I'm not good with math. That means that your monthly expenditures is gonna be $4,500. Somebody multiply that by 12. Somebody multiply that by 12. Anybody, I don't care who. Who's the first one? Come on now. You're going to add it. You guys should be like spitting stuff out like that. Huh?
54,000.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, you had to get your calculator out for that?
Oh, no, check it out. Disrespectful to your elders.
That's what you get for jumping in there. See? So, $54,000. Guess what, guys? On average, with no experience whatsoever, a GED or high school diploma is going to bring you anywhere from $8 to $10 an hour, 10 to 12 for an associate's, 12 to 17 for a bachelor's, 17 to 21 for a master's degree. On average per year, this is about $19,000 a year, 23, 33, 41, with the average monthly of, when you divide this by the 12, 1,500, 192734, with expenditures of 5,400, and just the basics. You guys tell me. Right. So, based on your average per year, based on this right here, taking this into account, $54,000, what kind of degree do you need to have to be able to meet these expenditures? It seems like more than a master's on average, right? This is just if you have no experience. If you start gaining experience while you're going to school, which means you're working, then your salary goes up more. But if we were to say that you just got out with a master's degree on an entry level, you're more than likely to find a job that's only going to be $41,000, which means that you're going to have to sell the house, you're going to have to give the car back to the dealer, and you're going to have to cut that in half, go back to renting, and start from scratch. Now, do you want to wait until you get your degree, or do you want to start now so that you can add that experience that you need to have in there to earn more money? You also have to think about sometimes, go ahead. I'm going to tell you what I mean about that. So, when I was working in social services, I was pursuing my bachelor's in psychology. I went to work in the suburbs as a case manager, a housing case manager. When I was working towards my bachelor's, I went from starting salary of 28, then it went up to 32, and then it went up to 35 during the time that I was working there. As I was gaining experience, my salaries were going up. They were giving me, increases, right? And because I was going to school. If I wasn't going to school, that was not going to happen, right? So when I pursued my master's degree, I was still working. So that in itself added more value to me in the eyes of the employer. And then from 35, I went up to 44, and then I went up to 55, and so on, right? So that's what I mean with experience, right? And then I volunteer with Ceasefire, I do Ceasefire marches. All of that is my resume, all of it. Everything I do. When I take my kids to go somewhere that is community service, that I put it on the resume, because all of that gives me the value that I need for the employer to hire. Does this make sense, guys?
Yes.
Does it give you an idea of the correlation between a college degree and how how much you're gonna be earning out there based on the field that you're going to pick? Yeah? No? Thank you. You guys were awesome. You can go back to your seats. If I hear you again, I'll put you back for another exercise. Expand your knowledge base. A college education helps you acquire a range of knowledge in many subjects as well as advanced knowledge in the specific subjects you're most interested in. And that's going to be very important because you want to have your focus on what you want to study, but you don't want to just learn that. You want to learn other things. I can sit down with a group of people right now and hold a conversation about what's going on with the state of Illinois in the elections. How did they proceed with campaigning? What kind of things seem wrong? You want to have conversations like that because when you have conversations like that, you listen to other people's point of view. Remember, you only make decisions based on the information you have available. Did I not say that? And if you're not open to have a conversation with somebody else and learn from them, then you're going to be limiting yourself to the information that you have available. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Thank you. I just want to make sure you guys are alive back there. Everybody go like this back there. Go like this. Come on now. Pick it up. Thank you. All right. So, again, parents need to be involved. You need that reinforcement from home. Think about what I said. You have to force your parents sometimes to stand on your neck so that you can continue to pursue a college education by getting good grades. Isn't that something? It's like you have some sort of control here, right? How you use it, whether it's for good or for evil, it's going to be up to you guys. But you have the game right now. You need to develop a college plan. Going to college can be very cumbersome. It can be very difficult if you don't understand what's going on. So a plan for your education may seem unnecessary, but it's going to help you a long way. And it's going to prevent you from coming across obstacles that might prevent you from continuing your education. I've seen many people who come to college and then they drop out because they were not prepared. Not necessarily academically, but because we as a culture are so in tune with our relatives and our family, when something happens at home, it oftentimes affects us. And we want to step up and try to do something about it. But if you prepare, you will be able to find a solution without interrupting your education. Some of the items that include in an educational plan are, you need to give yourself a mission statement. What do you want to achieve ultimately? It might be a good idea to review your goals and priorities. True story, I just put together a group of people. It's called the Latino Families Resources Committee. And they said, we need a mission statement. We need a mission statement because we need to tell people who we are and what we do. So I started brainstorming. Well, you know, social justice, civic engagement, social response. Okay, so the Latino Family Resources Committee believes that civic engagement, social response, and education are the key to ending poverty. I just made a mission statement. That's it. It doesn't have to be something elaborate. Somebody, I don't know, or somebody that knows how to improvise, give me a mission statement for yourself. Give me a mission statement for yourself. Think about who you are, what you want to do, and come up with a sentence or two on a mission statement. Anybody, are you thinking? I know you're thinking because I can smell smoke. I know you're thinking. Anybody, go ahead, Jack.
My name is Jeanette. I am a senior at Roosevelt, and after college I want to work in the education field, working with minority students from urban areas.
That's our mission statement right there. See that? It doesn't have to be difficult. It just has to mean something. A personal inventory. What do you do best? Determine your talents. I had such a ball going to college because what I was learning, I was able to use it at work. When I went from a master's in training and development is about curriculum design, program building, implementation, and I just so happened to be working in a nonprofit environment that gave me an opportunity to develop programs for homeless people. So I developed a life skill program, that entails a series of topics that have to do with how to understand your emotional state and control it so that you can have a positive social interaction outside. I built life skills. I put the curriculum together, the times in which I was going to do it, the topics, everything. That's why it was fun for me to go to college, because I connected it to the line of work that I was doing. And you should do so as well. For those of you who are going to the medical field, you could try working in a clinic or a hospital, an administrative department, taking calls, and that's how you start. You start right there, and then you start climbing the ladder as you're climbing in education. Next thing you know, you're a surgeon, you're a doctor, right? So never be afraid to start right here. We all have to start right here, and then move ourselves up. All right? The results of any research you've done into the possible career fields that match your interests. That's very important. How many here want to be an engineer? How many here want to be an engineer? Who wants to be an engineer? Nobody? You want to be an engineer? What kind of engineer do you want to be? Automotive engineer. You see how specific? Yeah. Computer engineer. You see how specific this is from the medical field to the engineering field to any other field? Not only is about I want to be a lawyer, but what kind of lawyer I want to be. Civil rights, criminal. You need to know these things, right? So, you want a calendar of important dates. If you are in high school, include the important dates for your junior and senior year. Give me one important date in high school. One important date in high school. Good, you got me there. You.
Graduation.
Of course. You were going to say about it? Anybody else? An important date? Bam! ACT. Nobody said ACT. Where is your mind at? You were right there. Okay. He said ACT. She said ACT is an important time. You want to start from your freshman year looking into when is the ACT going to take place during your high school career. And you need to start planning ahead and studying the way that you should so that when ACT comes, you're not freaking out, but you're confidently sitting down on that chair and that desk and knowing that you're going to come out of there with the highest score ever, right? Another important day.
My birthday.
That's a good one. Another important day will be every time a high school has a college fair or a career fair. Those are important days. You want to put it on a calendar and you want to attend. You know, I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old son, and I want them to learn the things that I did not learn when I was young, and I got into a lot of trouble because of it. And so I did a mock interview with them. I took the application from my agency and I revamped it, and this was going to be called Papi's Industries. That was my company. And my kids in my kitchen, we were doing the interview. And I'm telling you that they got a kick out of that one. We videotaped it and everything. But they now understand when they go in front of somebody that can potentially be the bread bringer into the household, you need to be able to expect to act in a certain way, to dress in a certain way, and going to these career fairs at your high school is going to give you an opportunity to learn early on the do's and don'ts of finding employment, because it works across the board, okay? A list of potential schools and colleges, and you know what? Don't think about one school, think about many. If you're doing financial aid, in there they're going to ask you, how many schools you want to put this financial aid towards? You know what? Pick 3 or 4 and put them in there. Because you might start on one, but then jump into the other one. For instance, a lot of our kids that go to city colleges can only get a 2-year degree. Eventually, they might want to go on to a 4-year university. So we tell them, if you're going to community college, go ahead and put in there Malcolm X, Washington, whatever. But then also put some universities in there. DePaul, Robert Morris, Roosevelt. It doesn't matter. I really don't care. Right? As long as you go somewhere and you get that education, 60-some% of our students are transfer students from City College. So if you were to say, I don't want to go to Roosevelt, I want to go to City College, I'd be like, go ahead. I might see you anyways in the future. And the reason why a lot of people come to us is because of our social justice mission. Anybody can tell me here what social justice means. You were lifting your hand back there in the corner? Or you were just fixing your hair? Wonderful right away. Social justice. Anybody knows what social justice means? There's a lot of definitions out there on social justice, but the bottom line is social justice is about equal rights to everybody. Equal rights to everybody. Equal rights to an education, to have food on the table, to have a house or an apartment, to have clothing, to have everything that everybody else has, you should have. And so when we as a university see that somebody's not getting equal rights, that's when we step in and try to work the system so that they get the same rights as everybody else. Does that make sense? Right? Wouldn't we want everybody to be able to eat? We hear a lot of commercials about people are hungry out there. Why should people be hungry out there? Or people that are homeless? Why shouldn't they have a house? Right? So, 10 reasons to go to college. College education secures your future. If you have a college education, you will make more money. A college education shapes your communication skills and your knowledge base. People with a college education have better value systems and are healthier. Can you believe that? People with a college education are healthier than people without. Can somebody tell me why would that be? You're fixing your hair again? Go ahead, tell me.
Because they have like stuff that, like they have homes, like better stuff that actually helps them, and people don't get that, so they're not healthy.
Exactly. Exactly. People who have money, they can survive. They can buy quality food. They have a good roof over their heads. The other people don't. So when you don't have those things constantly, it affects your health. Even stress affects your health. If you're unemployed, you're stressing out, you're going to affect your health. And you don't want to do that to yourself. How many of you want to get yourself sick? Nobody wants to get yourself sick, right? Right? Okay. So college can help you qualify in fields you are interested in. Education opens doors to many things like multiple jobs, career choices, and changes. Remember, I come from social services, and now I'm working at a university. That was a total career change. I totally got out of that, right? But I still try to implement some of the practices that I had then. But I was able to do that because of my education, okay? You cannot learn all you need to know in college, but you can learn enough to form a framework. Forming a framework gives you an ability to be able to communicate with people effectively your thoughts, your feelings about issues in the community, about issues in the world, right? And college is like athletic cross-training for the mind. Number 9, and I sound, what's that, David Letterman? Number 9, in any workplace, people succeed who communicate well. And we come across a lot of people in the workplace who, they just don't have the communication skills, and it makes you angry and you want to say something, but you need to be able to know how to communicate your feelings so that you don't get fired. So this is very important. Most people grow up in a fairly limited sphere of experiences with people who are relatively similar to themselves. For many people, college is the first opportunity to work closely with people who are different in terms of religion, ethnicity, politics, and all that good stuff. And that is so true, because we oftentimes segregate ourselves from families segregate themselves. When you go out into the community, the block segregates, the community segregates, the city segregates, and it's just constant segregation. So when we segregate ourselves, we're not exposed to other cultures, we're not exposed to other beliefs, we're not exposed to other things in the world. So we cannot form decisions correctly because we don't have all the information. Does that make sense? Right? Scholarships. How many of you know what scholarships are?
You guys can tell.
You, I haven't heard.
You guys
What's
can
a
tell them.
scholarship?
Like, it's fine, don't worry.
When you can get money from other entities to help you with the financial aid at the institution. For example, I go to caroutlet.com right now, and they have a link in there for Latinos to apply for a scholarship of $1,500. Up to 10 will get it. Up to 10 will get it. Car Outlet. Who would think that Car Outlet was giving out scholarships? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Not only Car Outlet, but many corporations out there may give you scholarships. But in order for you to get those, you got to put the legwork. Nobody's going to write that statement of need. Nobody's going to write that bio for you. They can help you, but they're not going to write it for you. That's why English classes are important, because it gives you the ability to write essays in a way in which is compelling to people. The things that you are learning in school is actually preparing you for you to be able to effectively communicate your need and get what you want. And as a nonprofit executive director, one of my jobs was fundraising. Fundraising. I had to raise $1.2 million a year to run my nonprofit. That means to pay salaries for 16 staff, to feed the homeless, to bathe, to clean them, everything. 1.2 million. In order for me to do that, I need to diversify my portfolio. Some of the money came from the city of Chicago. Some come from foundations. Some come from private donors. All of them require one thing and one thing only, and that's for me to write a 25 to 30 to 40 page program description to get those dollars. And if I did not communicate effectively, I could not raise them. Right? That's not counting the fundraising activities, but so scholarship is dollars coming to you. So a merit-based scholarship is like what we have here, where based on your ACT and your GPA. Need-based is your FAFSA, which is the government. Then you have student-specific. These are scholarships for which applicants must initially qualify based on gender, race, religion, family, medical history. Right now, for undocumented students, they could go to Dream Fund and over there apply for a scholarship to get money for undocumented students. Just like our African American students can go to some websites out there that are specifically for that. And even some websites like LatinoCollegeDollars.org actually gives out scholarships to our white brothers, our black brothers, and our Latino brothers and any brother that you can find out there. Right? But you gotta look for it. You gotta look for it. And some of them are like, if you want to be a lawyer, you need to be specific and look for scholarships that are going to lead to you becoming a lawyer. Because if you go apply for a scholarship for an engineer and you want to be a lawyer, you're not going to get it. That's why doing your research is important. Reading is important. Okay? Career specific. These are scholarships a college or university awards to students who plan to pursue a specific field of study. Like we were talking about engineering. Here's nursing, teachers, things like that. And then college specific. Each college has a specific scholarship, or could have, that are offered by individual colleges and universities and highly qualified applicants. These scholarships given on the basis of academic and personal achievement. For example, there are scholarships out there that if you did some community work, if you went to a food pantry or a soup kitchen, and you write that on the paper and send it to them, they'll give you a scholarship because you have shown your interest in helping our community. So those are just some. Okay? In knowing how to complete FAFSA, you don't have to worry about that right now, but I urge you to start learning about FAFSA as soon as you get into freshman of high school, okay? Like I said, Latino College Dollars, Hispanic Scholarship Fund, Illinois Dream Fund, these are some of them. Do you have any questions? Any questions? Now, after hearing all of this, I want one, oh yeah, go ahead.
What's the tuition cost per year?
So right here,
You may have mentioned it, but the tuition cost per year on average.
it's you know, ours is comparable to the universities that are in the area. Ours is 26,900. If you look around to DePaul, Robert Morris, you're going to find everything to be more in line in that way. Okay? Go ahead. College is expensive for many reasons. I'm going to give you why our tuition is the way that it is. We are a non-profit, private institution that does not prevent anybody, whether race, religion, from coming here. What that means is that we don't get government dollars to support salaries for faculty, for adjunct faculty, for administration work. We don't get government dollars for that. Everything we do here, we do it through tuition dollars. So, this gets a little bit more complex, and we're talking about putting a yearly budget together, right? So if my school, Israel School, is a $50,000 tuition, right? And I have 25 faculties that I'm paying about $70,000 a year. You start adding all of those expenses up, and then it gives you an idea on how much your tuition should be and how many kids should be coming in so that you can cover all of these expenses. And then the universities have their own identity. So it depends on the university. If that's where you want to go, you're going to pay what you need to pay because that's where you feel comfortable. They have your mission. You have that in common. You like the location, like this beautiful building here in downtown, things like that, right? But most tuitions are driven by that, by the amount of people that are under salary to give this education to everybody. Okay? Any other questions? Yeah.
Let's say they go to a community college first, how easy is it to transfer students?
Very easy. The minimum that you need to have is 15 credit hours. 15 credit hours. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes. You will have to take 5 classes, each one of them worth 3 credit hours for you to be able to transfer. You can take 5 classes in 2 semesters. So if you go to a community college in the fall and you take 3 classes, and then you go in the spring and you take 2 classes, you can come over here and transfer for the next fall with the credit hours that you have. And then your GPA determines how much of the merit-based scholarship you're going to get towards the financial aid to help you with your tuition. That makes sense? Any questions? Go ahead.
How much are your dorm rooms?
So the dorm rooms vary, right? So I believe they're anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000, depending on the suite that you want to live in. If you want your own space, you're going to have to pay for it. If you want to share, then the cost is going to be less. And remember that if you come to live at any university, anything like that, you're more than likely going to have a meal plan, and that's an additional $3,000. There are nonprofits out there that have college housing available. So, like right here in Pilsen, there's a nonprofit organization that built what they call La Casa, and it's actually a dormitory-style building for college students who cannot afford to be downtown. They'll go over there. They pay about $5,000 to $6,000 a year, and then they are living out of their house, but not necessarily spending all the money by living in campus. So there are options, and that's why you got to do your research and then planning, so you can make sure you put all these pieces together. That makes sense, right? Anybody else? Everybody understood the importance of college? So I want one person to stand up and eloquently tell the group why is it important to go to college. One person.
And then we can start our tour.
Yeah.
So who wants to do it?
One person. Nobody?
The brave soul. Just pretend you're in our classroom. We're gonna get Abbott. Can you get up and present for
I'm
10
gonna pick.
seconds?
I'm gonna pick. If you don't do it, I'm gonna pick. I'm getting closer to the person I'm gonna pick. I swear to God, I'm gonna pick somebody. Where? How about you start? It would be very nice.
Rosie, you want to hear the question again?
The question is, why is it important to go to college? Thank you so much. Round of applause for everyone.